Now, as you can see, I've got a fairly detailed sketch of the lighthouse. Yes, we're finally doing the lighthouse. I know a lot of you guys have been asking for it over on Patreon, so here it is. I went ahead and traced it out, and actually somebody from Patreon sent me this lighthouse picture, and so I used the real photo to trace it out because it made it a lot easier. And I'm going to include that photo in the description, I guess, or maybe I'll put it on the screen and you can just screenshot the screen. I'll do it some way, and that way you can use it for reference if you'd like to try your own painting. The difference is it's a real lighthouse. I think it's North or South Carolina, and I'm just going to remove the green and I'm going to put rocks in an ocean because I think that would be a little bit more interesting for the painting. So I'm kind of making my own thing out of it, but I'm going to use that real lighthouse. I'm going to continue to work in some of this sky detail. This is with clouds now. So I've got my clouds, my cloud purpley color there. I'm just creating some life and some interest and movement around some of the orange tones. And of course, this purple is leaning heavily to the red side, or you'll be having to go back and watch last week's video. Yeah. And I don't want to have to stop and go watch last week's video, so I'm going to be very, very careful and lean heavily to the red. There we go. Look at that. There you go. Kind of squint your eyes and look at it. And that's a real thing. Helps you to see. When you squint your eyes, you can't see the sharpness of the detail. Kind of makes things blurry, and you can identify the colors and the contrast a little better. Now this sky is really not all that big as far as square inches go. It's not that big. So it doesn't take that long to cover. I'm spending an extra few moments though, making it look extra nice because it's quite a big deal to the painting, I think. It's quite a big deal. And it really does a lot. It makes it look more dynamic than just a blue sky, although you certainly could do a blue sky. I think this is a little bit more entertaining. We'll see. Now, I almost wanted to leave the sky the way it was, simple, you know, but then as I stand back, it's looking flat. So I've got to come in and make it not flat. And to do that, I just add some highlight on the underside, of course, of these clouds. You can do it to the underside and then a little on the upside, you know, because that light would be coming from back and reaching around the cloud, you know. Quite a bit of options when it comes to clouds and how you want to handle the light. I'm just getting some color here from my palette. This is a soft brush. I think it'll layer okay. I can always wipe it off with a shop towel. As it is, I need to wipe around the edges of that lighthouse so I get my drawing back. Yeah, there we go. It just needs a little more punch right here to show a little bit of life, you know. Sun coming from behind there. It makes more sense now to me. And then a little shot of white to match the bottom. I feel like the sky needs to be just a little bit darker, a little too washed out. It's okay down here, a little too washed out up here. And darken this sky. Yeah, you see how that's already better. I'm just going to come through basically with one more pass. Not try to obliterate everything, which would be so easy. But I'm just going to bring in some shadow, some beautiful shadow tone, and create some of the detail of the sky with darker colors. There we go, much better. Much, much better. I'm going to take a little bit of our white here and mix some yellow, some red, yellow ochre in there with it just to get it warmed up, a little peachy color. That'll be fine. Because with that, what I want to do is go ahead and paint in the white stripes. And I put a little dark mark there so I wouldn't forget. But I want to paint in the light white stripes. Yes, I'm painting white right now. This is white. Can't you tell? Yeah. Because, of course, it reflects all the colors around it. So it'll be all kinds of color. Warm color. Like that. All right, there we go. Just going to continue to work on that. Make sure my pencil lines get adequately covered. That's relatively important. Make sure it's bright enough. If you put it on too thick initially and it's too dark, it's going to be hard to cover. So start with your lighter tones and you can always darken it. Easy to darken it up. So that's my advice. Lost the boundary of it a little bit. I've got to be a little bit more careful. Of course, what's wonderful here, these colors blend in with the sky, so it would be nothing to take a little bit of that sky color and work it back in. In fact, I believe I might need to. I'll mess with it, don't worry. Why would you worry? My painting. You can worry on your own painting. Now I've got a very dark purple mixed up, just blue and red, nothing else added, except I'm gonna reach down and grab a little bit of walnut oil. Not much, just enough to make it a little bit creamy. You can use any kind of oil. Linseed oil is wonderfully fine. You don't have to use walnut oil, but that's what I've got. And rather than painting these black, I'm going to paint them just with dark color, because that way if I want to bring in some shadows, all I've got to do is touch a little white into that. So I'm not going to use black. I do have black on my palette, but I'm not going to use it for my darks. There's nothing here. This is dry canvas, and it's another reason why I'm using a walnut oil. But also I want it to be very, very smooth in texture. I don't want lumps or bumps. This is supposed to look like a smooth painted metal, I guess, or concrete. It's either metal or concrete, right? Well, anyway, the idea is it's smooth and I don't want lumpy, bumpy texture. There you go. I'm just gonna paint this in dark, and I'll put a little bit of highlight, even though these are supposed to be painted black. I'll give them a little highlight. All right, I have to admit that was hard. I kind of lost my drawing a little bit, and man, to get the rings, the stripes just right, took a lot of back and forth and a lot of adjustment, but I think I'm happy enough with them. I don't want to mess them up at this point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to now place on a little bit of a highlight without messing it up, just on this. Of course, it's black paint, but black paint still needs to be highlighted. You know what I mean? I don't mean this is black. That could be confusing. I need to be careful with what I'm saying. In the image, it's supposed to replicate black paint. Obviously black, look at it, I haven't even used it yet. So this is dark purple, but it's supposed to represent black paint in real life. That's what I'm trying to say. It's funny, I'm painting paint using different colors that it actually is not, right? Isn't that funny? I'm going to put a little red on this stripe because it's catching some of the warmth from the sky. You could put yellow on it if you let it dry, perhaps, but I'm just going to go with this. There you go. Just wanted to show you a quick progress update, and let me tell you what. I'm sure if you did these all the time, it wouldn't be so bad, but I don't do them all the time, and that was hard. It's rare that I think, man, that was just hard. That was just hard. I'm just propping my finger up here on the side of the canvas, but you can see, it gets messy, so you gotta be careful. You can also put your finger on the canvas, but it will make a little hole, and you just have to blend it in. Either way, it's fine. I'm going to go ahead and just create these little vertical lines here. I see a remaining one there from my sketch. I think that's one there, so they're helpful to have them. I wish I would have kind of kept my sketch more intact than I did. Oh well. You know what? We'll make it work. There we go. Yeah, that'll be, you can go down as far as you want with those. Okay. Don't worry about it if it's a little messy. Doesn't matter. My commentary may be a little, quiet, and it's because I'm concentrating. I can't just get in here and have a whole bunch of wild brush strokes like I normally paint. This is so different to how I normally paint. I do see a light line right here. I want to fill that in before I lose it, and then this one here as well. Fill that in before I lose it. There's my color, kind of a light peach tone on the liner brush. With some white. The white's nice. It's thinned down, but it's not as thin as liquid. It's, it's creamy. It'll come off the liner brush okay, I think. What I'm gonna do is I'm just going to install some reflection right here on this lighthouse glass. Doesn't have to be everywhere on the glass, but just, sprinkle it on. Man, I really like this area. I don't want to mess it up, so I gotta be kind of careful. And again, the paint's creamy, it's not runny. If it was runny, I think we would have all kinds of weird effects and it wouldn't look right, but just creamy enough that it comes right off the brush. Okay, now I feel like, just in looking at the photo and overall, I feel like I need to bring back a little bit of my backside of the building, of the roof circle thing. Like so. Yeah, there we go. See that? You can kind of see through it now a little more. I don't know. I think it helps. Is it necessarily just right? No, but we can mess with it and get it. Might as well be happy. I'm going to spend, oh, this is taking forever. I'm going to spend the next few minutes, though, trying to make this thing look right. I've got some white here, and fresh white, because I'm going to add a little bit of our yellows to it, and some walnut oil. You could use anything. Clear gel's fine. And I'm going to, just right back here, I'm going to create my little ocean. This is probably the smallest ocean I've ever painted in a painting like this. You know, any kind of painting. Probably the smallest little ocean section. It doesn't take up very much of the overall scene. It just doesn't need to, does it? And I'm just going to match the colors. That's all. Match the colors. That's a rock there, but right here, well, wait a minute. I don't want to use that color. There you go. You got to kind of have the colors match. At least that's what I want. I want my colors to work together. I think that's important. Okay, I didn't bother doing a tape line, so that means I'll have to come back and just soften that horizon so it's not so lumpy bumpy. I don't want it sharp anyways, in all reality. Oh, that's pretty. Look at that. That's very, very decent right there. Okay, and then right down here, I'm just using leftovers. There's some kind of purpley gray. Yeah, that'll be fine. Just use whatever you want. Kind of create some of those waves, and this will be what's splashing up. Maybe these will be rocks here, but I'm gonna have a splash back here as well. Ooh, a couple of ripples, a couple of ocean waves like so. It's good. And just have some sort of a splashy do on the back side of these rocks, just for interest. A little bit back here. This is nothing realistic at this point, nothing like the setting of the actual lighthouse, because again, that is a real lighthouse, but who cares? That's not the purpose of that. The purpose was to create a painting that I find interesting. And this is definitely more interesting to me than a green grassy field. So I thought, well, I like the lighthouse, but let me change the setting to be a little bit more like kind of what you think of when you think of a lighthouse painting. I'm gonna work in just a little bit of blue really quick right down here. I just think it would look nice. Just not much, just a little bit. What that does, it ties in better with what's above. Okay, got that out of the way. Let's take some of our burnt umber and black, red, which black is, this is the first time I'm using black in this painting. Burnt umber, red and black. May need to get some more color out, no blue. Almost put blue in it. I can use blue as shadow later, but not right now. Okay, I'm gonna create some rocks and they're all kind of but that's okay. Actually, it's very tiny, very, very tiny. I think if we get too carried away here, we're gonna end up losing scale and things are gonna look out of whack. So I just wanna, and I lightened it up there just a little with some of these colors. There we go, as that light comes in, I might just, imagine it hitting the top of these rocks. Nice to get the rocks out of the way, and then we'll just paint our little structure, which is brick and mortar and plaster or cement or something like that. Over here, ooh, just a shot, not much. Now, again, not realistic, not trying to be realistic here, trying to be creative with this. I understand that this may not even be normal. You're like, oh, a lighthouse wouldn't be perched on the rocks exactly like the way you have it. That's okay, that's okay. I'm just trying to be creative. Let me have my fun. Things are starting to get a little muddy. Not necessarily in a bad way, but I gotta get the liner brush out. I can't finish that with a regular brush without wiping it off or doing something different. And I could do that, but instead I'm just gonna use a liner brush. Partly because, to tell you the truth, in my mind, the way I'm seeing this here, I don't think that there's enough land to really warrant messing with it too much. You know what I mean? I need to get some red out. There's just not enough land to worry about this. Very little land. If anything, the land I don't want it to distract from the lighthouse in any way. There we go. So it just doesn't add much to this painting to me. And that's okay. Maybe I want another, a couple rocks there. Just enough to carry your eye into the painting and call it good. I'm going to bring some of these little waves up. Here's a lot of paint, so I'm going to probably just come up and then stop and wipe the brush and then do that again. Here's my color. I had to squirt out some new colors because I didn't have anything that was pure. So you just go up one time, boom, and then, maybe either flip the brush around or else just clean it off, wipe it off. Get back in here into some fresh color. Over here, you can go both ways, but once you go into that brown, I pretty much need to just stop. There we go. You know what? This is working. It's not necessarily overly special or complicated. I'm just touching here to kind of create a texture of foam. It's nothing too crazy. I admit it. It's nothing super amazing, but it gives you a little feeling of water rushing up, and I don't know that we really need any more than that, really. How much more room is there, really? Not much. Now I'm going to mix up a color, maybe some yellow ochre and some red, and a little bit of white. And what I'm going to do here, just a little walnut oil is okay too. And I'm going to paint in the red portion of the lighthouse. And then, honestly, I don't need to even stick if I didn't want to. I didn't have to stick with that, but it's okay. I don't think it's bad. I kind of like it. So let's roll with it and see how it goes. I'm actually going to go quite a bit darker. I thought, well, maybe a little lighter, but no, because if you think about the way the light's coming, I think this is already turned into the shadow. So let me make that darker. So quick correction there. Boom. Okay, now it's darker. You can see by having that paint creamy, it flows, and it makes it just so much easier. I think it's worth it. I don't have a lot of layers or anything going on top of this, so I'm not at all in the slightest bit concerned. Now let's go ahead and get some darker, shadow. Anyway, I'm just gonna play around here, have some fun. I notice, at least from the picture, that this is maybe just a little bit of a different color. Again, I don't have to do that, but I think it's nice to have the variety in it. So let's stick with it. Pretty straightforward. And then this kind of, look at that, just getting that thing colored in made all the difference to me. Made all the difference. Now the very last thing, I've got to come up here and just find some sort of just a muddy color is fine, I think. What do I know? Here we go. I got to create some sort of a, well, that's not going to work. I guess it needs to be darker than that. So it shows up, but I've got to create the spotlight in the lighthouse itself. There we go. I've got something in the lighthouse now. And it's distinctly different color. See that? I don't know that it needs to be anything incredibly precise. I'm just going to say something like that, maybe. No, I don't know. Just it looks like a bar coming out that way, because like two little heads, like lamps on it. That may be, I don't need to go too precise, but that at least gets me something and saves me from having to go back and do it. And I don't even know, it would be weird with the video. I'm glad I didn't forget. I'm going to take just a little bit of warm color of some kind. The reason I'm holding my palette way up here, like, what are you doing? The reason I'm doing that is because I'm also filming a full-length Patreon video from this, and I want to make sure I get my palette in the shot. I've got a close-up of the lighthouse here for my Patreon video. So it's like I'm filming two videos at once, because I don't record all the footage unless I'm making it a Patreon lesson. As it is, there's going to be almost 2 terabytes of footage for the Patreon lesson. Yay! I just love terabytes and terabytes of footage. It just warms that up. And it fits with the painting that way. All right, you could play with that forever, but I'm just going to put a couple more little touches on it. Well, that wraps things up for today. Hopefully you enjoyed it. It was quite a different lesson, but I learned a lot from it, and I think I could even do it better or faster the next time. Don't forget to check out our website, DVDs, and brush line. Thanks for watching. Well, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Remember to subscribe if you're not already, and click the like button. It helps me out a lot. Stick around, watch a couple more videos, and stay inspired.